Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. You can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. Smash the like button if you love me. Subscribe if you're new. Please have your say. A very warm welcome to this hectic Thursday edition of the DC Universe Daily. And we've got lots of updates for you today. And I've finally got a phone so I can actually read articles. Fingers crossed. Let's go. So, James Gunn's DC reboot will include a gothic horror movie report. So I'm all for this. So let's see what all this is about. James Gunn's upcoming DCU reboot is confirmed to include a gothic horror movie. The filmmaker's plans for the future of DC Studios are ambitious as he takes over as the company's co-CEO. For one, he completely scrapped Henry Cavill's Man of Steel in favor of doing his own complete reboot, Superman Legacy. Additionally, Gunn seems intent on offering a wide variety of content, and that's that way it should be. This includes an animated series based on the Creature Commandos, a Detective Green Lantern show, a Game of Thrones-inspired Amazonian Paradise Lost series, and more. All signs even point to Gunn planning to give DC its own proper big crossover event, something 2017's event failed to do for many. Among that diverse slate, which DC Studios has branded Chapter 1 Gods and Monsters, the DCU looks to be extending into more adult genres. In an interview with Variety, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny director and Swamp Thing director James Mangold confirmed that he's looking to take a gothic horror approach with his upcoming DCU film. Mangold noted that he's planning to view his take on the character as a very simple, clean, gothic horror movie about this man-monster. That's fine with me, that's for sure. While I'm sure DC views Swamp Thing as a franchise, I would be viewing it as a very simple, clean gothic horror movie about this man-monster. I've been toying for years with the idea of making a kind of Frankenstein movie. That would be amazing. Jeff Hill, how big a disaster is The Flash and what does it say for the future of DC? Well, I'm reading an article, but I will answer your question right now. Right. The Flash is a financial disaster. It says nothing for its future because whoever came in to take over this clusterfuck of a mess that has had, 3 leaderships in it? Snyder, Johnsonberg, Hamada, that's including, that's 4. So it's been a mess. So whoever who had to take over, the rest, had to be here while these films were here, it was going to be a clusterfuck. They should have allowed Hamada to stay until the end of the year, till these movies were released. But I don't think it affects the future, Jeff, because actually I think Gunn's plan is exciting. But the thing is, let's hope he's serious about the plan he's saying he's going to do. The director revealed that he did put in a friendly call to get his name in the running for a project at the start of the process, something DC Studios leads Peter Safran and James Gunn were clearly a fan of. At the end of the day, Mangold made it clear that he's just doing his own thing with this, just a standalone. So could it be that this won't be part of DC Universe, but DC Elseworlds? Sounds like it, but who knows? The horror of Swamp Thing. It's clear why Gunn wanted Swamp Thing in his initial DCU lineup. Not only is he a lesser-known character, but he opens the door to the supernatural side of the DCU universe and paves the way for darker, scary adventures. Yes, Swamp Thing is part of the Justice League Dark universe, something J.J. Abrams was developing. He's not going to be developing it anymore, but it's something I want to see develop. I want to see corners of DC that's never been developed before, as well as Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. I'm not a one or the other guy. We need to be tapping into these more unknown, lesser properties. Swamp Thing isn't new to live-action adaptations. Most recently, a series was created for DC's failed streaming service and ran for a single season. The worst part is that it was received pretty well. The project just fell victim to poor timing and circumstance. Now the character can get another chance to shine. To aid in the Gothic horror approach, including the creature commandos who Gunn has promised to bring over into live action, would be the perfect play. Not only does it exemplify the direction that Mangold is going in, but it helps bring those fringe characters to a bigger audience. I couldn't agree more. Sadly, it'll be some time before this particular DCU project comes to fruition. As of writing, there's no current estimated release window, so fans might be looking at something as far away as 2026 or 2027. Well, they can take as long as they want. And Mr. Journalist, that doesn't upset me, and it shouldn't upset any DC fan. Why? Because we want them to take their time. That's what James Gunn said he wants to do, so we get quality instead of quantity. That's why The Flash failed, because it didn't have the consistent quality as a consistent full movie. So I need to jump to my next article, so just bear with me while I'm doing that. So let's go to the next article. Oh, I do love technology, don't you? So let's now talk about Blue Beetle. So now it is loading up. So as I say, bear with me. I'm not a professional here. I'm just using a phone. I've got no editing software. I've got no like stuff so you can see what I'm reading. But that's okay, because I'm going to read it out to you. So before we get into Blue Beetle, by the way, I will be concentrating now on Blue Beetle on this channel a hell of a lot more. I've been talking about The Flash for 3 years. I'm worn out talking about The Flash. Spoke about the development stage. We spoke about the problems. We spoke about, I warned about, swapping Superman for and all that nonsense. A lot of people are very angry about that. It's been released. I've given you a non-spoiler review. I've reviewed it live for you as well. I've done it to death. Now, if anything else comes to fruition, I'm happy to talk about it. If you want to talk about it with me, I will get into it with you yet again. If you want to ask me any questions about the Flash movie, like Jeff has, you're very much welcome. But I really do want to focus on Blue Beetle now, because I'm looking forward to the film. As usual, I'm open-minded because I haven't seen it. And it's part of the new DC universe. Wasn't supposed to be, but it was always supposed to be a part of a new universe. So it's part of this universe. It is a standalone movie. Let's see how it does. Anyway, here we go. We value your privacy. I don't care. Leave me alone. Right. Where was I before I was rudely interrupted? Blue Beetle director confirms a movie's place in DCU by Kim Taylor Foster. Comic, what's that? Published 17th of June. Exclusive. Solto clarifies cinematic universe confusion. 007, hi Mick, hello Waz. DCU or not DCU? The emergence of DC Studios' upcoming Chapter 1 has put many current projects in cinematic universe limbo. That's not true. This August, Blue Beetle, however, seemingly isn't one of them. As director Angel Manuel Soto explains, the new superhero release is very much part of the conversation in the DCU. We are part of the universe. We are part of the world. We are part of the plans that they have been creating for the future installments of the DCU. Soto confirms in the new issue of Total Film magazine, which is out on newsstands on Thursday, June the 22nd. But we are not tied to all the films from the past. So it's not part of the DCEU, it's part of the DCU. So where are we? Yes, our movie lives in the world where superheroes exist, but that doesn't mean that a certain event or a certain alliance or a certain thing from the past dictates where our films is going. Hang on a minute. Damn you. Jesus Christ. Blue Beetle Animator, good morning. Good morning to you, my friend. So let's get back to this. Soto has also teased his ambition for new DC hero played by Cobra Kai's Xolo Maradula. That even extends to a potential trilogy. Very exciting. Our first movie, the way we wanted to do it was always with the mentality that we wanted to do two more at least, Soto says. And talking about the traditional three act structure of a story, we wanted our first movie to practically be the first act of a saga. So basically, that's just a snippet of the interview with Blue Beetle director. So we'll get into it in a minute. Let me cue up the next one. So, right. So what do you guys think about that? So, Waz 007, I hope Blue Beetle be a hit. Bat Super. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Bat Super. We've got headlines today. We're reading articles again. It's very, very exciting. So far, we've been talking about Swamp Thing potentially being a gothic horror. James Mangold's been talking about that. That's very exciting. Manuel Luis Soto, the director of Blue Beetle, I've just read an article about what he had to say. He says they're part of the new plans, they're part of the future, and he wants to develop a trilogy. Now, obviously, box office dictates everything. So what do we know about the Blue Beetle director? So he's one of the other directors that Walt Hamada brought to the DCEU. But Super, I'm very excited for Mangold's comments. So am I. So am I. We want smaller characters, other characters, the Justice League dark characters. We want all the corners to be represented, but in a good way. And this is what James Gunn is attempting to do. Where's 007? I hope to see DC Elseworld, Batman, Gaslight, and Superman Red Sun live action. We will see what the future holds, my friend. But these are the current plans right now. And so, yeah, as I say, what do we know about this director? Hamada brought him in. So let's look at the directors that Hamada brought in. So James Wan, I don't know who brought in James Wan. I think it might have been Jeff Johns. David F. Sandberg did a solid job with the first Shazam, not so much with the sequel. Andy Muschietti, I think the verdict on him has to be like brewing for a little while because his movie wasn't great. But there's a lot of factors, and I wouldn't really like to blame him for that. Blue Beetle animator, your love for your family is your weakness. That line from the trailer was so cringe. Are you talking about the Blue Beetle movie? Are you right? So I can't remember that. But anyway, I don't think it's a bad line, Blue Beetle animator, by the way. I think it's a villain trying to manipulate a young man. It's okay. I mean, it didn't knock me over, but I certainly didn't hate it. Anyway, so we don't know much about this Soto director, so it will be interesting what he does with this film. I don't actually think they've done any reshoots or rewrites for this film, but they have cut the Michael Keaton cameo out, of course, because he won't figure in the future. They mentioned Supergirl, they mentioned this one, they mentioned the other one, they mentioned Wonder Woman, but basically I don't think there'll be any cameos in this movie. It's pretty much a standalone movie. Waz 007, do you think Ted Cord will be in Blue Beetle? I think he'll be mentioned. I don't think we'll see him in the movie. Who knows? But I don't see that happening. They've replaced Ted with Victoria from what I can see, which is disappointing, but we need to see the movie so we can judge it. There's no point being reactive on a film we haven't seen yet. We've seen one trailer. You're on the verge of seeing a second trailer for Blue Beetle. I don't know when, but very soon they're going to release a second one. They want to hit the ground running. They want to keep away from the negativity about The Flash as well. Derpy Entertainment. Remember, these last three movies are prior to James Gunn's, so don't blame him for it when it's the old WB prior to Discovery. Be optimistic with James. Right, I've always been optimistic about James Gunn. I like his plan, but it hasn't been perfect since he's come in, and we don't blame him for the quality or the lack of quality of these movies. But, you know, obviously, I don't think James Gunn and Safran should have come in until these movies were released anyway, Derpy. And I think that was the mistake. And they had to deal with them and they had to pretend they liked the movies. And that's the problem. it brings in, people will lack trust for them. But ultimately, James Gunn will be judged on Superman Legacy and Beyond and Waller and Peacemaker 2. Of course, that's what we must judge him on. And that, Derpy, is absolutely fair enough. Waz 007, Ted called great character. Derpy Entertainment, fair point. So I got one more article on today's DCU Daily for you. Later on, I'm uploading a 10-minute video about VFX and CGI and the problems in modern day movies. After my live last night, I had a couple of beers with my friend who's a VFX artist, and he's over here in Cyprus for a bit of a holiday. We had a couple of beers in Ayia Napa, and we started talking about it, and I just talk about my faults on VFX after that conversation. It's a 10-minute video, uploading it later. If the stars align, I will be back tonight for another live. But right now, we've got one more article to read for you here on today's DC Universe Daily. Right. Are you ready? Right. Derpy Entertainment, I'm not going to judge him till Batman. Oh, you don't have to judge him. Brave and the Bold is going to be Andy Muschietta's movie, but James Gunn must be judged on what he gives us. That's simple as that. Now, if you don't want him fired after Superman Legacy, if it's not a good movie, I'm not saying it's going to be, but, it's very important Superman Legacy works. Waz 007, I've got to go now, start work now. Have a nice day. Derpy Entertainment, fair. Right, let's read this article now. Kevin Smith thinks Ben Affleck may return to Batman for The Dark Knight Returns. You've seen Batman versus Superman? Anyway, we go on. Oh, for Christ's sake! Are you winding me up? Are you really winding me up? You're just going to black out now? Oh, my God. This is ridiculous. Oh, my God. What is wrong with you? Jesus Christ. Let's try one more time. I'm going to scream. Who decides on how these things look? Right, let's start again. Kevin Smith thinks Ben Affleck may return to Batman for The Dark Knight Returns in the future. Will we ever see Ben Affleck as Batman again? His buddy Kevin Smith thinks so. Smith addressed the topic of Ben Affleck's Batman career in the recent episode of the Fat Man Beyond podcast, which reviewed DC's The Flash. It's no secret that the Flash movie ended Batfleck's run as It did it again. It did it again. It did it again, man. This is insane. This is insane. It's not going to work. Oh, well. Yours. It's not going to work. Never mind. Never mind. Basically, I'll tell you what all that was about anyway. Damn, man. Right, sorry about that. Where was I? I apologise for that. I'm afraid the site I went on to was very, very temperamental. So basically, Kevin Smith is basically saying that he was asked if Ben Affleck would return as Batman one day. He said maybe in a Dark Knight Returns movie, but not now when he's much older. Now, for me, Batman versus Superman is kind of a loose adaptation of the Dark Knight Returns anyway. I mean, I would have liked BVS to actually be a really faithful adaptation of The Dark Knight Returns. I think it would have been a bigger hit. People would have been more excited. And I think that was the mistake they made. If they went totally all in with Dark Knight Returns for BVS, that film would have made a couple of $1 billion. Ben Affleck would have killed it. Doesn't matter if he's not that old. It would have worked. You could have just lowered the age down and just said he was an older Batman. That would have worked. You get Cavill's Superman to come in at the end. He's an agent of the government. You kind of loosely say it's continuing from Man of Steel. It would have worked. So where are we? Derpy Entertainment, I don't want Affleck to unless it's Elseworld film. He wouldn't come in the DCU anyway. That's common sense. John Haymick, hello, John. Derpy Entertainment, Jensen Ackles is my guy. I like Jensen. I like him less since he shaded Jared Padalecki with that supernatural spin-off. That wasn't classy behavior. I mean, he would be a mid Batman for me, but let's say he'd be cheap. If they don't want to pay much, he'd be very cheap. He's not an A-list or anything, but we'll have to wait and see. I mean, it is going to be James Gunn's call. It's going to be the studio's call. Andy Muschietti won't get to choose who plays Batman in Brave and the Bold. Andy Muschietti may not even end up directing that movie. There's easy ways of saying, oh, you know, we had to move away from him, blah, blah, blah. We will see. Derpy Entertainment, he has a good Batman voice, though. Yeah, he's good for animation, but not necessarily for live action. He's short as well. I don't really want Batman to be a short, stodgy guy either. Derpy Entertainment and the right age for what storyline they are using. Listen, yeah, I can't, look, I'm not against it, but I think that there's definitely better choices out there than Jensen Ackles. Personally, I don't think he's going to get it. I think he wants it. He's made that abundantly clear. I wouldn't be upset or angry if he did get it, but I feel there's better choices out there, not necessarily just with famous people, existing actors, but I think you lot are just obsessed with fan castings and fan casting well-known actors when I prefer all these roles to be played by unknown actors, even Batman. This is what the mistake was when they cast Clooney, one of the most famous people at the time. Blue Beetle animator Jensen has a great voice for toned Batman. Yeah, he's got a voice, but let's be fair, Blue Beetle animator, there could be 60 actors out there you've never heard of who could also have a great voice. And I don't think Jensen Ackles is going to be able to sell a film on his own. He's not a superstar or anything. But as I say, this would be something that James Gunn will decide on. I don't think it's Jensen Ackles. That's how I feel. Apparently he nearly was in Gotham Knights, and I think people are getting carried away because of that. But I can fundamentally say I don't think James Gunn is going to go with Jensen Ackles. Of course, I could be wrong. We will see what happens. Would you go away, you notifications? It's all going wrong today. You know why? Because I didn't block the notifications. That's so annoying. Let's sort that out. Bye-bye. That's it. Brilliant. But I've always liked Jensen Ackles. I liked him in Smallville. I loved him in Supernatural. And I mean, we will see. It's just my opinion that I don't think Jensen Ackles is going to get the role. But who knows? Anything's possible in this crazy, insane world. I mean, but I'm very focused in the future of DC. And in August, we're arriving to the future of DC. And that really does excite me a big deal. To get Blue Beetle, to say it's part of the future, and then we can just focus for the future. And then, I mean, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom's a bit of a weird one. I don't know what to think about that film at this moment. I hope it's a good film because James Wan would have made a fire of a movie. There's no question about that. So I want it to be good. And they haven't really told us if Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom is DCEU or DCU, because it would be crazy to have a movie that's DCU. Let me tell you what I think they've done. I think they've sent James Wan back to do reshoots, which they have, which will make the movie part of the DCU. I think this has annoyed James Wan, and this is why he made those comments a few weeks back. He can't keep up with all the changes, but hopefully he's still made a very good film. I know it will look fire. It will be much better. And I mean, God help David Zaslav if he doesn't allow him to finish the VFX shots like he did to Andy Muschietti, because that's Zaslav saying, we're not paying for you to finish those VFX shots. And this is what I talk about on today's video that I'm uploading as soon as I finish with this video. It's they have too many VFX shots and they can't cope with them. And that's the problem. And that needs to change. We need to focus on shots in camera, touch them up a little bit with VFX and CGI, but we have to reduce the amount of CGI and VFX shots in this movie, because The Flash was literally using actual total sequences in computer-generated images, and that's very difficult. But I talk all about it in today's video. Anyway, John, was Michael Rosenbaum an unknown before Smallville? Yes, he was, and Tom Welling was. Kristen Krug played Snow White in a TV movie. Annette O'Toole was a famous television actor. She obviously played Lana in Superman 3. John Glover had been in the Gremlins. He'd voiced some animated DC stuff, but theatrically trained actor. Alison Mack was unknown. Obviously, Sam Jones III was unknown. So most of the people on Smallville were unknown. Derpy Entertainment, if I were James Gunn, I'd tease Superman Legacy with modern version of the Flasher opening, focusing on the reporter aspect more than Superman. But that's just me. If I was trying to sell Superman, I wouldn't say, oh, I better not show the most exciting part of my character. Now, I don't mind marketing Clark Kent, but you can't market Clark Kent, Derpy, and not Superman. It's this one or the other mentality I keep on hearing in fandoms today. Don't do this, do that. Oh, I prefer this to that. Who wants to see Superman in the marketing? It'd be much better to see Clark Kent. I actually wouldn't appreciate marketing like that. I love Clark Kent, but I love Superman as well. And you should be marketing both sides of the character. That's very, very important, because some people prefer Clark, some people prefer Superman, and Superman is so gee whiz, and you market him in the right way. That's the way I feel about it. Derpy Entertainment official trailer 1 would be similar frame by frame to animated series, with them playing with shots of the movie in action. I mean, that would be fun. I think what he needs to do is be original. He needs to be original. He needs Superman to be the Superman that everybody loves, the pure-hearted, good guy that people say they didn't get in the Snyderverse. And he needs to go with that, but he needs his own take. And I don't think ripping off this or that is going to work, because it screams unoriginality. And now he's talking about a lot of his movies being a bit like the animated series from Bruce Timm, and that's fun, but there's got to be guts in the stomach for it to work. It can't all just be hollow. It can't all be references all the time and the Easter eggs. This is why the Flash movie got in trouble. There's got to be more than that. So you can be proud of the animation. You can kind of show it off in your live action if you want, but you've also got to be better than that. Derpy Entertainment, that's literally what Marvel does, though. Exactly. That's my point. Why do we want to do what Marvel does? Why? This has got to stop, this obsession with Marvel, because for 2.5 phases, they did really well financially and people loved them and they were the darlings of the industry and the fans. Derpy Entertainment, because it was successful. So what? I'm not interested in success, Derpy. I'm not interested in measuring dicks. I'm interested in making great DC animation, films, television streaming, and gaming. I want to see great films. I want depth. I want heart. I want originality. I don't want to see an empty shell. And James Gunn's pretty much said he doesn't want to see that either. And copying the MCU isn't the right thing to do. My advice is, if you want to see the MCU, go watch the MCU, but DC ain't becoming the MCU. The Flash movie is the MCU. Did that work? Was that good? Did you like that? Birds of Prey was the MCU. Did you like that? Wonder Woman 84 was the MCU. Batman in the Lasso of Truth, the Lasso of Hustia making gags. That's the MCU. Is that what you want? Derpy Entertainment, nobody cares about the comics. That's all I'm saying. No, you're wrong. People do care about the comics. They do care about the comics. You're absolutely wrong. You mean you don't care about the comics, but that's not everyone else. When people say everyone doesn't care, everyone cares. Everyone's got this is why making these adapting iconic characters is always difficult, because everyone wants different things. Blue Beetle Animator, haha, Amy Adams, Lois Lane moment. Derpy Entertainment, fans do. I don't know what you're talking about. Derpy Entertainment, the general public doesn't. Well, there are members, yeah, but just because, this is what you do, right? You can reference things from the comics. You can try and be as accurate of the comic book depictions as you can while doing your own thing at the same time. This is the problem with people like you, Derpy. It's one thing or the other. And normally it's what you want over what other people want. We can look at Superman and look at the character that we got to make Superman the way the public want him. A good guy, the old-fashioned Boy Scout, then everything else can be down to the filmmaker's perspective. Derpy Entertainment, that's the audience you have to reach and win over. The fans have understand that. Yes. No, but again, what you're suggesting is to do one thing over the other. What I'm saying is, and you're not listening, I want you to open your ears. You can do both. You can be faithful to the elements of the comics that are popular, which is making Superman a pure, joyful character that loves helping people. But you can also, put your own mark as a writer-director on it. You can do both. You don't have to 100% copy the comics. You're saying we must do one thing over the other because this is the generation and the mentality you people are from. And this is why you're always arguing on social media. It's Ben Affleck is the best Batman. No, Robert Pattinson is the best Batman. Man, no, you're all wrong. Adam West is the best Batman. Have some of that. But anyway, we can do both. Anyway, James Gunn's in charge. It doesn't matter what I say or you say, but he's already said that we know what he wants. He talks about truth, justice, and the American way. All the general audience want, my friend, are great movies. If The Flash was a great movie, the general audience would have watched it. That's the point, Everyone just wants to see entertainment. They want to leave the cinema having an experience and seeing an unforgettable movie. Most movies made today are not unforgettable. And I think if you're a creative and you don't want to create an unforgettable experience, I hear McDonald's have vacancies. It's time to get back to great, memorable entertainment and not servicing people who want to copy Marvel because they think that's what's successful. They've made quite a few disastrous movies recently. The Marvel trend is over. It's over. It's in the past. James Gunn is here to make great entertainment. I believe that. I believe he genuinely wants to make great entertainment. The handling thus far hasn't been great of the clusterfuck of movies that had nothing to do with him. Derpy Entertainment, storytelling is what's important. Yes. So let's not go the MCU way then, because they're not very interested in good storytelling. But James Gunn's not interested in making this, the MCU 2.0. So it's not going to happen. If people want that to happen, it doesn't matter. We're not getting the MCU. So he's going to do something here, and hopefully it works, and hopefully it's special. We don't live in a great special time in entertainment, so I don't have much hope, but I'm open-minded. I'm open to see what they're going to do. The DCEU is over, so it's futile in arguing whether that was successful, it wasn't successful, if it would have been successful, if this happened or that happened. It's all in the past. We're getting new movies. Let's see what Blue Beetle's like. I'm hoping Blue Beetle, at the very least, will be a solid, enjoyable movie. Then we can quickly forget about it, move on from it. Then we can just look forward to Joker Folia due next year, and Penguin, very excited for those DC projects. Then in 2025, it's Superman Legacy and the Batman 2, which will be a great year. John, are you going to watch the new Mission Impossible movie? Of course. I love Tom Cruise. I love his movies. He's obsessed with giving the audience a great experience, and that's what's important. Derpy Entertainment, I think that's how he'll go. With formula isn't the movies, but overall world building and storytelling is what's important to him across movies, TV shows, animation, video, and games. Well, if you look at his work recently, the popular work that he's done, that's what he does. So really, the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy, even though it's connected to the outer MCU, it's not overly connected. It's his little universe. He told his story. He built his world, and he was able to do what he likes. And with the Suicide Squad, he did it again. He made a really, really comparable movie that I like. Peacemaker, he did it again. So he is going to basically, that's what I'm saying about Superman Legacy, total world building. You're going to see some of the characters from the DC universe. You're going to hear them mentioned. And this is what's going to happen, as well as telling a great Superman story. And that excites me. At the moment, there's a lot of negativity because, let's be honest, we've had to deal with negativity. We've had to deal with negative directors, negative producers, arguing it with each other publicly. It hasn't been great, but we can move away from it. We can get, time is a great healer. And if James does his job right, we could have something really exciting. Derby Entertainment, after watching Volume 3 with the balance of tones, I've no doubt he will do well with this with Superman Legacy. As I always say when people are being negative, right? Because we can talk about his tweets, we can talk about this, we can talk about that. He's a very good, solid writer-director. I've never disliked a James Gunn written and directed film. That's the truth. So if we focus on him as a creative, I don't have an issue. Sometimes he goes too far with the comedy, and I think he's certainly going to have to rein that in. But in terms of everything else, I think because his jokes don't always hit, and they can be a little bit uncomfortable. But apart from that, he's very, very good. I like him. I think sometimes his ego takes over and is a bit arrogant. He's less arrogant than he used to be. But that's not really my problem. As long as he makes great movies, as long as he does a great job with DC, this could be very special. I've always liked Peter Safran as a person. I like the way in the BTS of all the Blu-rays and 4Ks I've got, I like the way Peter conducts himself as well. There has been issues within the DCEU. He was involved with that, but hopefully we can move forward and they can, create something special, because ultimately that's what we all want. And the Snyder fans will be over there. They'll do their thing. But if James is successful, their cries and squeals will get more quieter and quieter and quieter. If he fails, their shouts and squeals will become louder and louder. So James hasn't really ever failed creatively. Yeah, you could say Suicide Squad didn't make money, but in terms of a film, it was entertaining. Peacemaker was entertaining, and that's what I mean by successful creatively, and I think that's important. So I've certainly got an open mind. I don't know if he would have been my choice to take over DC, but he's here, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. As I say, I've totally got an open mind, and I'm totally happy to see what he's got to offer, because he is here now, and he's in a very difficult position. We've got the David Zaslav situation. He's firing this one. He's making redundancies here. I don't know if he's cleaning house or creating a problem. He's created a right bomb at TCM, the Turner Classic Movie Channel, and now you've got people like Spielberg and Coppola and Scorsese meeting with him to tell him off and to calm him down and tell him, don't fold up that channel. So let's see what happens. Derpy Entertainment, the beauty of James and Peter is they create DC studios. If WB doesn't like what they're doing, they are going to be moved or sold. I don't think that's a guarantee, but WB ultimately are in charge of everything because it's their company. They have created DC studios, and we'll see what. I'm not one of these people who's going to say yay or no. I'm one of these people who's going to say I'm going to wait to see what they give me, if they ever give me anything. Right at this stage with what's going with WB right now, everything seems very, very fragile, if you ask me. But I'm not going to say James Gunn's definitely going to be successful. And I'm not going to say he's definitely not going to be successful. I'm going to say, let's see the castings, let's see the trailers, let's see the movies, and let's judge him on that. I'm not going to be here to be a flag for him, and I'm not going to be here to be a hater for him. Obviously, I'm on a platform where some people do dislike James, and I have to react to that, and I have to be calm, and I have to be chilled, because everyone has a right to their opinions, and that's what fandom is all about. And if Hollywood were more receptive to different opinions, we wouldn't be in the mess in the industry that we are right now. So we will see what happens, Derpy Entertainment, because there's so much going on. There's so many different fandoms. There's so many different takes. It's difficult to really understand half the stuff that are being said. And that's without James Gunn getting involved with the situation as well. But as I say, I'm very open-minded, and I hope it succeeds, because I like DC. I love DC, of course. And I want DC to be a successful franchise. But ultimately, I don't care about franchises. Franchises are for studios and for corporations. I care about good movies and good entertainment, and DC be done right and done right good. And I don't think there's one formula better than the other. But certainly, the last time we tried to do a cinematic universe, it ended up a bit of a mess. Toxicity, creatives arguing with each other. It was a mess. And I mean, the stuff that was going on behind the scenes, even without the fans are toxic for a reason, because of what's been going on for the past 10 years. It hasn't been good. So hopefully we can move on from that and we can start to receive the goods, because it's been a long time since DC fans received the goods. I mean, Joker, we received the goods. The Batman, I believe, we received the goods. But we will see. We will see what happens. So this has been Thursday's edition of the DC Universe Daily. I admit your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, smash the notification bell so you never miss this beautiful perfection. Smash the like button if you love me. Subscribe if you're new. Please have your say. Derpy Entertainment, because the negativity. But the negativity, my friend, started with the creatives and the studio not deciding what direction they wanted to go. Snyder, Bergs and John, Hamada, the Snyder Cut, this, that, the other. The negativity didn't begin with the fans. The negativity began with the studio. They created this mess, not the fans. The fans are always just the responders. Don't forget, the paying customer is the most important thing in this element. And thinking that a studio can survive without, the paying company is the most ill-conceived thing you can have. Without the money, there's no industry. That's why the industry's on its knees, because the customer mostly has left the building, because you're either calling us straight white male scum, you're doing this, you're doing that, you're making bad movies. So it's not the fans' fault, it's the studio's fault. It's WB's fault, it's Disney's fault, it's this one's fault. It's not ours. We are just reacting. And I don't want to see these studios and creators being protected constantly and the fans being thrown under the bus. We're the customer, we're the boss, we're the kings, not them. They are our batches, right? They're our bitches. They're our slaves. Their job is to create unforgettable entertainment we will never forget, like when I was growing up. And as I say, if they don't want to do that, they should go and work at McDonald's. We're not here to receive their propaganda, their extremism, or hatred. I think it's an utter shame that for the past 8 years, I've discovered that this industry hates straight white males, hates my sexuality and my culture and my gender. This is an industry I used to look up to, admire. And now I know they hate me and my nephews. That's very sad. Now, I don't hate them. I feel sorry for people with hate in their hearts. I really do. But I'll never forget that they hate me. Until I see you again, goodbye, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen. Look out for the video coming up later on, and I'll be live, hopefully, tonight, depending how I'm feeling. But hopefully, see you tonight. Until then, goodbye. See you later.